All right, some of you seem to have a few questions about this. Luckily for you, I gave you notes to put in your journal. So you can look those. First class, I did 5 problems. This class, I'll do 5 or so problems. Before we get started, though, let me ask you a question. Ethan, if I have 45 plus 1 3/10, what's my answer going to be around?
It's going to be around 46.
Around 46. Around 46. So before I do this, I always like to try and figure out what I'm going to be near. Ethan, what place value is the 5 in?
The 1.
The 1's place. And as we talked about yesterday, if I said, Tatum, I'm not going to give you this much. How much is this?
$5.
$5. But what if I said, Tatum, I'm not going to give you this much? How much is that?
$5.
$5. So what place value is this 5 in?
The 1.
1's place. And this one?
The 1.
How come there's no decimal here?
Because you don't have to.
You don't have to put it. If it's not there, it's at the back. If it's not there, it's at the back. Let me ask another question before I get started. Let's go. Cora, why don't I write it like this?
Because this one isn't lined up with this.
Good. Every time you add, ever, you have always lined up the place values. Always. We have to have the 1s over the 1s, 10s over the 10s, the hundredths over the hundredths. You can't not line up the place values, or you're just making stuff up. So let's look at problem 6. 16 and December, how do you say this?
16 and 1,000.
16 and 1,000. And we're subtracting 12 and... Oh, how do you say that, Ricky?
You're subtracting 12 and 984,000.
984,000. That's good. We have to line up our place values. I sure hope you're watching. We are taking a test next week. Probably Thursday. So I have to write them vertically. This one's easy because the place values are the same. Goes out to the thousandths here and out to the thousandths there. So it's real easy to line them up. This one should have been pretty easy. See, what happens is December, I have $1 in my pocket. Could December come up and punch me in the face and take away $4? No, I only have $1. So if we look at, let's think a minute. You glued in your journal, we checked today, your decimal picture. It had the square. The big square was value of 1. The squares inside of it is the value of 100th. And the little pieces inside each little square has the value of 1,000. 1,000th, sorry. Because there's 1,000 of those little pieces in the whole number 1. So I need to make there more thousandths. Well, I can't change the hundredths because I have 0 hundredths. So in this first number, 16 and 1,000ths, I have 16 of the big squares. And one tiny little square. One tiny little square. But I have to go all the way over to one of those big squares, and I need to borrow one big square. So one big square has how many tenths? How many?
10.
10 tenths. It has 10 of the columns. Each column is a tenth. There are 10 inside that one big square, right? So I'm going to take and I'm going to make this 10 tenths. But I still have to borrow. So now I have my 10 tenths. Each tenth has how many little squares in it?
100.
How many little?
10.
10. Each square, or each of the little, each of the columns has 10 squares in the column. So I have to borrow one of those 10 and make it into a hundredths. Okay, so I have 10, so now I have one column, but each of those blocks in the column is divided into 10 pieces. So that gives me thousandths. So I'm going to have 10 thousandths. But wait, I need to, or 10 hundredths. I need to break those 10 hundredths into thousandths. So I'm going to have 11 thousandths. I did not change the value. Now, instead, I have 15 of the big squares. I have 9 of the columns. I have 9 of the individual squares. And I have 11 of the tiny pieces. Same amount. Same amount. Just like if you were looking at that picture in your journal. The same amount. Now I can do this. Now I can do this. Logan, what does 11 subtract 4?
6.
6.
Wait, no, 7.
Oh, 7.
It's 10.
Logan, what does 9 subtract 8?
1.
1. Logan, what's 9 subtract 9?
0.
Logan, what's 15 subtract 12?
3.
3. Okay, now if we looked at this and we did an estimate beforehand, and I just did, this is really close to 16. This is close to 13. So 16 minus 13 gives me what, class? 3. Is my answer near 3?
Yeah.
Yes. So I can estimate it beforehand to see if my answer makes sense. I can estimate it afterhand. I'm not sure that's a actual phrase, afterhand, but I just created that. If you use it, I want money.
I did that.
Okay, afterhand.
Afterhand.
But this gives me an idea whether my answer makes sense. So that was number 6, I believe. Number 7. I have 1/10 plus 1 9/10 plus 13. But I need first, Alec, I need an estimate. What would your estimate be on the answer for this?
Well, I changed the 1.910s to the back just 2.
Okay?
And then change the 13.
I would just do, what's 13 plus 2? 15. Because this is just like a dime. So what Alec is saying on number 7, if you did number 7, your answer should be somewhere around 15.
Actually, it is exactly 15.
So look at your paper, and if your answer is not somewhere around 15, we've probably not lined up our place values correctly. That's the only place you're going to make errors in doing this, is not putting your place values correctly. But we have 1/10 plus 1, take that farther away, plus 1 9/10 plus 13. Remember, as Tatum told us, we have a decimal at the back. If it's not written, it's there, it's just invisible. It's got magic powers. The notes you have in your journal tell you that if they don't have the same number of place values, just add a 0 there. Because we know that that's 13.0. Yes, sir?
I put 1, not 0.1.
Then you got it wrong. It's 1/10, right?
No, it's 1.
No, it's 1/10. Number 7? It is 1/10.
Yeah.
We already said our answer should be around 15. So now, Alec, I'm going to put a 0 here so I have everything in my tenths column is lined up. So Alec, what's 1 plus 9 plus 0? 10. So I have 10 tenths. 10 of those rows. I'm going to combine them together and make 1. So now I have 1. So Alec, what's 13 plus 1 plus 1? 15. So Alec's estimate of 15 was exactly on. But if you didn't line up the decimal points, you're not getting an answer anywhere near 15. December, I'm just saying, so don't argue with me all the time. Why are you so mean? I hope your mom's watching this video, December, and she finds out that I go home crying every night. All right, we did number 8 next. Number 8, we had 20, subtract 14 and 8 tenths. Subtract 18,000. Okay, Ava. All right. We're subtracting, right? So Ava, if we made, what's 14 and 8 tenths close to? 15. So what's 20 minus 15? Five. Good. And this is so small, I'm not even going to worry about that on my estimate. But that means my answer, when I do the subtraction, must be around 5. Your answer needs to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5. If your answer's not in the neighborhood of 5, you've made a tragic mistake, and you'll regret it forever. I'm just kidding. You won't regret it forever, but you know. So, Ava's going to help me here. We got 20, and I can only do 2 subtraction parts at a time, right, Ava? And where's my decimal point in the number 20, Ava?
At the end.
At the end. It's one of those invisible decimal points Ava knows. And then we have 14 and 8 tenths. Okay? Ava, I have $0 in my pocket. So if December runs up, punches me in the face, knocks me unconscious, can she take $8 out of my pocket? No, she can't. So I can't just have 0 and subtract 8. No, I can't. I can't. It doesn't work. So I'm going to change this 20 to a 19. I'm taking one of those big squares, and I'm breaking it into the columns. And there are 10 of those columns there. So now I have 10 subtract 8, which is what, Ava? 2. 9 subtract 4, which is what, Ava? 5 and 2 tenths. Is that near our estimate, Ava?
Yeah.
It is near our estimate. But we're not done.
Oh.
We're not done. Because we got to subtract that last number. We have... Again, December can't beat me up and take an 8 from my pocket if I have nothing. So I'm going to add my zeros here. I'm going to add my zeros there. I don't have any thousandths. I don't have any hundredths. I only have tenths. So I'm going to take one of my tenths, which is those 10 squares in a row, or in a column. So now I only have one because I took one of them. And I'm going to make that 10 hundredths. Because one column has 10 hundredths. But wait, I still need to borrow more. So now I'm taking one of those hundredths, one of those squares, and each of those little squares has a little pieces in it. Each one of those has 10 pieces in it. So now my young friend Ava, 10 subtract 8, 2. 9 subtract 1, 8. 1 subtract 0. 5 subtract 0. Okay, are we still within our estimate? Yeah. We're still within our estimate. The key to this is making sure you line up your decimal points. You don't line up your decimal points, then your parents will be mad at you and never give you ice cream again.
I don't eat ice cream. ice cream.
If your parents are mad at you, they won't let you ever play football again.
Whoa, wait, no. Yay. At least we saw amazing. At least we have Dr. Pepper. That boy loves it.
All right, number 9.
I did it a different way.
All right, Logan. We have 6 plus 132 and 89 hundredths. So let's just ignore. We're going to do front end estimation. Okay? So what's 132 plus 6?
138.
138. So you should have an answer near 138. If you don't have an answer near 138, shame on you. Shame on you. So we have to add. It'll live. We have to line up our place values. We have our 1s over our 1s. Our 1s over our 1s. You can't have anything that's not a 1 place over your 1's place. Probably could have done this in your head. 0 plus 9 is? 0 plus 8 is?
8.
Put my decimal points straight down. 6 plus 2?
8.
So are we close to our estimate?
Yes.
Yes. We're close to our estimate.
We're in the neighborhood.
And you know, I always ask myself, who are the people in your neighborhood? Your neighborhood. Your neighborhood. I said, who are the people in your neighborhood? Y'all don't never watch Mr. Rogers?
No. Yeah, I do.
The people that you meet each day. And we're going to do number 12. And that's a subtraction. Let's call my friend. All right, you're going to give me an estimate here. Okay, I have 1,234, and I'm subtracting less than 1. This is less than 1. So my answer should be somewhere around
1,234.
somewhere around 1,234, because I'm taking less than 1 away.
Well, pretty much.
So if my answer is not around 1,234, if I didn't line them up and I got 0, what?
Add your zeros.
I'm going to add 4 zeros. I'm going to add 4 zeros here.
No, you have to add 8 technically. Because don't you add 0 at the bottom?
Well, you don't normally do that when you've learned to add. I mean, if I did 37 plus 6, you don't make it 06, do you? Not normally. As long as we have our place values lined up. And of course we have to borrow, so I take from the 1s, 3, 9, 9, 9, 10. All right. Shh. My friend's helping me. 10 minus 4.
6.
6. 9 minus 3.
6.
9 minus 2.
7. 8. Wait, 7.
7. 9 minus 1.
8.
3 minus nothing.
3. 3, 2, 1.
So am I near my estimate?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Boom! Shakalaka! Peace out. God bless. I love ya.